This video is brought to you by Massdrop and their new Sennheiser PC37X gaming headset. With an open back design, exceptional audio and mic quality, the PC37X gives you the competitive advantage you need in games like Fortnite, Overwatch, and PUBG by providing clear and sharp audio. To learn more about the PC37X and get in on the drop, make sure to click the Massdrop link in the description down below. What's going on, guys? My name is Matt and I've finally gotten around to putting together a Raven Ridge APU based gaming PC, and this one's pretty special. I wanted to keep it low budget but still use quality parts and have it look decent. I went the deal hunting route with this build, finding stuff on r/build-a-PC sales and slick deals, but all the parts used are brand new, and I even put together a cheap open air case for this PC, which I'll talk about later in the video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the parts used to make up this PC. Starting off with the CPU and GPU, the system combines the two by using a Ryzen 3 2200G. I picked this guy up for $95 on sale, which is slightly below the $100 MSRP. The 2200G is a Ryzen 3 CPU with 4 cores and 4 threads that also integrates Vega 8 graphics, which is a perfect combo for 720p or light 1080p gaming. Though it doesn't have the highest clocks out of the box, I was able to get a slight overclock on both the CPU and GPU cores, which did show a decent increase in performance while gaming. Cooling the CPU is just the stock AMD cooler that comes with the 2200G. While this isn't the most impressive cooler ever, it did allow for a mild overclock and doesn't look half bad. Also, the best part of all, it's free, which is perfect for a builder on a budget like myself. This APU is sitting inside of the ASRock B350 Pro 4, which I got for only $55 after mail-in rebate a while back. This motherboard is a perfect starting point for an APU like this because it offers a lot of features, a good I/O layout with plenty of video out options, and the ability to upgrade to other higher performance Ryzen CPUs in the future. With a decent VRM setup and subjectively good looking design, this motherboard was a steal at only $55, and I'm really happy I picked it up. For RAM, I went with a 2x4GB kit of Team Group T-Force memory at 3000 MHz. At $90, this kit wasn't cheap, but it got the job done, and the fast speed and dual channel operation was necessary to get the most out of our APU. This RAM occupies 2 of the 4 slots on the motherboard, meaning upgrading to 16GB in the future is as easy as popping in another 2 4GB sticks. For storage, I went with a 500GB standard mechanical hard drive from Seagate. I picked this up from Amazon for around $23, and at 7200 RPM it's plenty fast. While I would have liked to include an SSD in the build, the value proposition of this drive was too good to pass up, and I needed to save the money to spend it in other places. Powering the system is the trusty EVGA 450BT with a price tag of only $25 when I picked it up, and fully black sleeve cables. This is my go-to budget power supply when it's on sale. 450 watts is way more than enough for this build and even leaves room for upgrading in the future to something like a dedicated graphics card. Once I had all the core components, I knew I needed to get a very cheap case with only $10 or $15 left in the budget. I thought about going on Craigslist and finding the cheapest case I could find and slapping all the parts into it, but then I thought of doing something a little different. Using the last $10 or so, I constructed an open air case. I found some old scrap wood which I got for free, but has a value of around $4. This, along with around $4 in various screws and hardware and a power button for a couple bucks on AliExpress, I assembled everything into a makeshift case that I personally think looks pretty decent. I marked and added standoffs for the motherboard, which I glued into place, and then was able to mount the motherboard so it was very sturdy. I modified 4 1-inch brackets to attach both the power supply and the hard drive to the case. Not the most elegant solution, but it was cheap and worked well. I even added a bunch of screw eyes in the back of the case for cable management, and added a large hole for passing cables through and a hole for the power button to sit in. Once everything was assembled and cable managed, I stepped back and took a look at what I had created. For a few hours of work, I was really happy with how the makeshift case and whole system came out. Once this was all done, it was time to benchmark. I benchmarked 4 popular titles at 1080p, which, while I think ideally you would game at 720p on this machine for higher FPS, most people have and will be using a 1080p monitor, and all my other benchmarks are at 1080p for reference. Starting with Overwatch, a popular first-person shooter, at 1080p medium settings, the system averaged 56 FPS with 1% lows of 49. Overall, this was a really great experience, and lowering the settings or resolution would result in a considerable bump in FPS for even smoother gameplay. Moving on to Fortnite, probably the most popular game out right now, the system at 1080p medium settings had an average of 37 FPS with 1% lows of 31. This was a pretty decent experience, but going down to 720p would be a good idea if you're wanting the most FPS to stay competitive. In Rocket League at 1080p medium settings, the system saw an average of 61 FPS with 1% lows of 43. Overall, it was a good experience, but it should be seeing that it's Rocket League. The final game I tested was PUBG at 1080p very low settings, which resulted in an average of 37 FPS with 1% lows of 28. While this wasn't the greatest experience, it was playable and again could have more performance if you're willing to bump down the resolution. Overall, for $300, this isn't the most high performance system I've built for the price, but it's definitely the most upgradable. With options for M.2 storage, dedicated graphics cards, and even the ability to upgrade all the way up to an 8-core CPU, the system could be kept and upgraded little by little for many years to come. So yeah guys, I think this wraps this video up. Thanks again to Massdrop for sponsoring this video. Again, you can check them out in the link in the description down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, as well as consider subscribing for more PC and tech related content in the future. And as always, this is Matt from Tech by Matt, signing out.